Hit this right here. Hey, we good. So, any questions? How's everything? Oh, shoot. My fault. I didn't realize it wasn't loaded up yet. All right, cool. Let's go. Hold on one second. All right, x plus 7. Huh? 5x squared. It's 28x. And like, mhm, mhm. And what am I supposed to do here? Well, that's nothing. So, what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna factor both of these, right? And then when you factor both, you're just gonna create the LCD and then you just type it in.
Oh, that LCD is like combined.
Yeah. So to find it though, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna factor each one individually. All right. Sorry about that. So what you're gonna do is just factor each one individually. So I'm looking at the first one. That's the one with the x plus 7. I see that there's no. I'm just looking at the denominator, by the way. I see that there's no greatest common factor there, right? So I'm just gonna factor straight. All right. So I'm gonna have what, 5x here, 1x here. And then I need two numbers that multiply to give me 15, but add up to 28. Yikes. What's this? 15. 15 and 5, that's like what? 20? No, that ain't it. Yeah, I'm trying to get that 28 right there. I know both of these are gonna be positive. Mm, yeah, so this would be 25. This would be 28. All right, there we go. All right, if you're wondering how I did that, right? I'm just thinking in my head how to get this 28 right here. I know that 5 times 5 is 25 plus 3, 28. No, that's super confusing. AC method, right? Always works, right? Until today. But we'll talk about that later. So I have 5x squared plus 13x plus 6. Let me think about that. So I have a 5x, I have an x. They're both going to be positive. And you said x plus 2? All right, that's good, right? Because 5 times 2 is 10 plus 3, 13. Excellent, right? So what I'm doing here now, what color? What color? I'm gonna do pink. All right. What I'm doing here now is I want the LCD. So to find the LCD, just take one of the denominators. Doesn't matter which one. I'm gonna take the first one. So I have 5x plus 3 times x plus 5, right? Now I'm gonna look at the second denominator, right? The second denominator is a 5x plus 3 and the x plus 2. And I'm looking at the LCD. I want I wanted to have all the components. I want the LCD to have all the components of both of the denominators, right? So to make that have the extra missing component, I'm just gonna put the x plus 2 here. I don't know if that makes sense, right? So now like that's the whole LCD, this whole thing. So you just type that part in. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So just factor the denominators and take one of the denominators and just whatever is not in that denominator but is in the other denominator, you put that together and that's the LCD. Welcome, welcome. Let's see what you got. Wait, hold on. So square root of 9x plus what? 8. Plus 8. Got you. Minus 8. Got you. Did I do this right? In blue? So the first issue I have is that radical. I want to get rid of it, right? So to get rid of the square root, I'm gonna square it, right? So I'm gonna square this. But you know what I do to one side, I gotta do to the other, right? Exactly. These are gonna cancel and these are gonna cancel. So this is gonna leave what? 9x plus 8 is equal to 8x minus 8. And then you just want all your x's on one side or your numbers on the other. So I'm gonna subtract 8x from over here because I like to put my x's on the left. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Also, I'm gonna subtract 8 from over here to get all my numbers on one side. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other, right? So now what do I have? I have 1x is equal to negative 16. And then that's it. Does it work? I don't know. Plug it in and see. Mhm. But you should check your answer though. With this. Mhm. Like this. So my issue here is those radicals. I want to get rid of them, right? So I'm gonna square this one to get rid of it. But what I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. So now what do I have? The square root and the square will cancel out, leaving back just 2x plus 1 equals
3x.
not 3x. 3 times 3 is 9, and then times the x minus 1.
Oh, so you actually apply the square.
Right.
Because it's not.
Exactly. And then after that, just distribute, combine like terms, x is on one side, numbers on the other, and that's it, right? So I have what? 2x plus 1, so 9x minus 9, right? And then I'm gonna move my x over here. So I'm gonna subtract 9x from over here. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. And then I'm going to subtract 1 from over here. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. So now what do I have? I have negative 7x is equal to, I think, negative 10. Then I'm going to divide by negative 7 to get x by itself. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So now I have x is equal to 10 over 7. Nah, because a negative divided by negative is positive.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it work? I don't know. Plug it in and see. Yeah. All right. Just square it with everything else. Not too bad. All right, what you got? Mm-hmm. Like that? Got you. AC squared? Oh, like this. All right. So I'm looking for the largest perfect fourth that goes into 64. Right? Tell you the truth, I have no idea. Right? So let's figure it out. I have 64. Give me two numbers that multiply to 64. Yeah. It could be basic. It don't gotta be crazy. 8 and 8. Well, I heard 8 and 8. So 8 and 8, 64. Now what do I got? I got 4 and I got 2. 2 is prime, right? I got 2, I got 4. And just keep breaking it down, right? This becomes what? 2 and 2? And 2 and 2. Right? So I'm telling you that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm telling you that 2 raised to the 6th power is the same as 64. So if I'm using that to my advantage, I want to know what the fourth root of 2 to the 6th power is, right? But what I want to do is I want that index, right? Excuse me. I want the exponent power, which is the 6, right? to be the same, to be divisible by the index, right? The index is 4 in this case, right? For the fourth root. So I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to break this apart into the fourth root of 2 to the 4 power times 2 to the second, right? Now the fourth root and the 2 to the fourth power will cancel out, right? When those cancel out, that's just going to leave a big 2 on the outside. But then we're going to have the fourth root of 2 to the second, right? Because that can't get simplified down anymore. If you want to do the math on it, it's going to be the fourth root of 4. That's it. So A is 2, C is 4. That's it. Yeah. See, I got to do things like this because I don't know my timetables, you know? The homework for tonight is posted too, in case y'all want to take a look. Y'all probably know how to do it already, so that's cool.
It's crazy. I was going through like some old book bags in my closet,
Yeah.
and I found some of the work we were doing. I was like, wow, I was really
It's the same
doing
thing,
this
right? Yeah.
earlier, and I just forgot it all. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was tight.
It happens. I'm not gonna lie, like I haven't done chemistry in a minute. I'm like super rusty myself.
Well, if you have people come with chemistry problems, damn.
I mean, like sometimes they'll come, like I might take a look or something. Like, I can help you balance an equation, but like beyond that, I don't know. Like I'm rusty, you know. All right, what's the last question? Mm-hmm. That's it. So you can rewrite this as square root 4 over square root 5, just like this, right? And what's the square root of 4 again? 2, right? So this is like 2 over square root 5. Now, it's illegal for me to have radicals in my denominator, right? So to get rid of the radical, I'm going to multiply by itself, square root 5. What do I do to the bottom? I got to do to the top. And then now, when you multiply straight across, what do you have? 2 square root 5, I would say over 5. And that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. So, is it like an ABC thing with associated with that? Right. Square root of A over B. So A would be 5. Your B would be what, 1 over 5? Yeah. What did you write for B? It's 5. So then A's got to be 2. Explain 2. Mhm. You see. So say 2 square root 5. Let's try that. Right, 20. Really? It's a good question. Huh? Yeah. It's not hard. It's just the way to answer the answer that we're looking at. Yeah. Let's see, square root 5 maybe? It's not right. 1 second, you guys. Yo, try 20. Yeah. You did? It's a stupid question. It shouldn't be that. Yeah. The 4 times 5, because remember when you rationalize the denominator? I'll show you. Okay. So let's erase this. All right. So I'm rewriting it as square root 4 over square root 5, right? If I multiply this by square root 5, square root 5, this will become square root 20 over square root 25. And then the square root of 25 we know is just 5, right? So square root of 20 over 5. But 20 could get broken down, right? So, but this is where the 20 is coming from for the top and the bottom. But if it was like a test situation, it shouldn't be left as 20, right? It should break that into square root of 4 times 5 over 5. And then the square root of 4 is just 2 square root of 5 over 5. That's what that is. Weird question. Anybody else questions or y'all good? Hmm? It's like that. Okay. That's it. All right. So what I would do here, the radical is my issue, right? So I would just square this. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other, just like that, right? So what does that become? That becomes 9 times the inside, negative 6x minus 4 is equal to 25. Just like that, right? And then just solve for x. So I'm gonna divide by 9 over here. What I do to one side, do to the other. So now I have negative 6x minus 4 is equal to 25 over 9. Then I want to solve for x. I'm going to add 4 over here. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other. All right? So now I have negative 6x is equal to 25 over 9. It's 4 over 1. And if you want to like simplify that a little bit, you can. Right? Multiply this by 9. Do to the bottom, do to the top, something like that. So negative 6x is equal to 25 over 9 plus, what's 4 times 9? 36, right? Over 9. And then 25 plus 36, what you say that is? 61, okay. Yeah, 61. So negative 6x is equal to 61 over 9. Now, let's get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. So I do to one side, do to the other. Call that negative 6 over 1. Keep change flip. So x is equal to 61 over 9 times, let's flip this, negative 1 over 6. All right? And just multiply straight across. Negative 61 over, what's that? 6 and 6 is 12, 13, 36, right? 54. And that's it. Go ahead. Hmm? And that's everything. Give me him, then I got you. Wait, hold on. All right, I heard square root x. Oh, square root 8, I'm sorry. 8x. Hmm? Okay.
And equal.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay. Okay. All right, so what I want to do, I want to get rid of that square, right? That's my issue. What I do to one side of the equation, I do the other side of the equation. Right? The square root and the square root cancel out, leaving back just 8x plus 1. That will be equal to, let's square this. So this should be 8x minus 1. Plus 2 square root 8x minus 1. And then plus 1. That should do it. Mhm. Pretty much just solve for x at that point. Got you. Excuse me. So I have 8x plus 1 equals 8x minus 1 plus 2 times 8x minus 1 plus 1. Combine like terms, 8x plus 1 is equal to 8x. Negative 1 of this will cancel out, plus 2 square root 8x minus 1. All right? So remember, I want to solve for x here. So I'm going to subtract 8x over here. I'll do the one side, do to the other. I'm going to leave it the way I have it. 1 is equal to 2 square root 8x minus 1. Now I'm at that point where everything is going good. I still got that radical. I need to get rid of that radical. So I'm going to square this. When I do the one side, I got to do it to the other. So now I have 1 is equal to 4 times 8x minus 1. All right? After that, divide by 4. 1 over 4 is equal to 8x minus 1. Next, what do you want to do? Add 1. Hold up. So I have 1 over 4 plus 4 over 4 is equal to my 8x. Let me simplify this down just a smidge. Make this nice. So this is 5 over 4 is equal to 8x. And I want to divide by 8. What I do to one, do to the other. Keep, change, flip. You remember that whole thing? Times 1 over 8 equals x equals, what's that? 5 times 1, 5. 4 times 8, 32. So that's it. I mean, it's just a little bit of like algebra, nothing crazy. The lesson there though was that when you have a radical, right? And then you want to say you have two radicals, like you do a radical, get a radical back kind of nonsense. Do it again. Solve for the radical again, and then square it to get rid of the radical. All right. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Chris, you up? What you got? Is it wait, 0 equals what? Huh? And then x minus 4. That's it. All right. So how you would do this out, right? Excuse me. You have to multiply all of this out, right? So this should be 0 equals 18. I'm going to do -2. And in parentheses, x minus 4 squared, right? So what is that? That's x squared minus 8x plus 16, something like that, right? And then you want to distribute the -2 on everything. So you have 18 minus 2x squared plus 16x, very good, minus, I think, 32, something like that. Then you want to combine like terms, right? So that's just going to be 18 minus 32, which is like, what is that? -2x squared plus 16x, -14, all right? Now that you have that, you could do a greatest common factor. Greatest common factor over here is what? Not 4, -2. Now we're talking, right? So now what am I left with? Remember, it's like you're divided by -2, -2, -2, right? So I should have x squared minus, what's this? 8x plus 7, something like that. Factor this out, I have -2 times x minus 7, x minus 1, right? Set both of those equal to 0. X minus 7 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. Solve for x. Add 7, add 7. So I have x is equal to +7 and add 1, add 1. X is equal to 1.
It's quadratic.
So those are your two answers. Enter them using like a comma, so like 7, comma 1 or something like that. Unless they have one of them questions where they're like, oh, I want the smallest number first and then the big number after, whatever, then depending on how they want it in the question. But yeah, that's how we used to do it. One more? All right.
Little way.
Mhm.
Just.
Got you. All right. We just let them get a picture of it. Good? All right, go ahead. Square root. Just x,
No, outside, positive.
like this,
No,
like this,
no,
that.
I think.
Or you mean like +2?
Yeah, plus.
Oh, I see, I see. So what was that? X plus 9? Like that? So long story short, kind of similar. I want to get rid of the radical, right? That's my issue here. So I'm gonna square this side, but what I do to one side, I gotta do to the other, right? So the radical and the square will cancel out, leaving back just the x plus 9. On this end, though, I'm gonna have what? X plus, what's that? 4 square root x plus 4 equals that. And then long story short, you just want to solve for the radical, right? So let's get everything on the same side. I'm going to subtract x from here. What I do to one side, do to the other, right? I'm going to subtract 4 here. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
How do you look at four?
Which 4?
Plus the root?
Was 5. 4 square root of x. Oh, FOIL this. You have square root of x plus 2 times square root of x plus 2. Just FOIL it, you know? Bam, bam, bam. That's all. I was using the formula that we spoke about in my head to make it a little bit easier. After this, I have 4 square root x is equal to 5. Just square both sides. Shoot from one side to the other. So now you have 16x is equal to 25. Then just solve for x, right? So I'm going to divide by 16, or do the one side to the other. And that's it. Make sense? That being said, let's jump into today's lesson. I don't know about y'all, but I found them questions mad hard. Y'all probably like said that they were easy for homework, but we gonna learn some tricks today, man. Some good old tricks. But before we do that though, real quick, blast from the past. Help me out. How'd I do this?
X plus 9 plus X plus 9.
All right, I'll take it. X plus 9 times X plus 9. All right, so FOIL it for me. What do I get?
X squared plus 9x plus 9x
Uh-huh.
plus
81, right? Combine like terms, I get what? X squared. Uh-huh. Very good. Questions on this? We good? All right. Got another blast from the past real quick. How do I do this again? You do AC method. All right, so we have,
Oh, it's just that.
yep, right? So, but when we look at it, there is none in this one. Yeah, that is the answer. Yeah, that is the answer. Right? So two numbers that multiply to 49 add up to negative 14. Right. So I have y squared minus 7y minus 7y plus 49, right? Down the middle, group the left terms. This is going to be y times y minus 7. And then this is going to be negative 7 times y minus 7. Greatest common factor, y minus 7. What's left over? Y minus 7. That's it. So, let me ask y'all another question real quick. And remember, the AC method worked for all of them, right? How I do this? How do I do this? Hmm? Right? By what? Very good. So I'm gonna factor out a 5 right here. And what's left over? So n squared plus what? Say it again. 8n. Got you. What is it? You said 60? Oh, 16. Okay. I trust you. Let me see. The 16. All right. So I need two numbers that multiply to 16 would add up to 8. What are they? 41? 16. No, 8. What I'm talking about. They add up to 8, and when you multiply them together, you get 16. What are they? 4 and 4, right? So n plus 4, n plus 4. Right? And then that's it. Questions on this? Don't be scared. You can ask questions. It's all good. Yeah. Got you. That's all good. 2 steps. All right, so let's get into it. Here's what we're doing today. So I want to solve quadratic equations of the form x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 by completing the square. All right, so in solving equations, you must always do the same thing to both sides of the equation. This is true, of course. When we solve a quadratic equation by completing the square too, when we add a term to one side of the equation to make a perfect square trinomial, we must also add the same term to the other side of the equation. For example, if we start with the equation x squared plus 6x is equal to 40, right? And we want to complete the square on the left-hand side, we will add a 9 to both sides of the equation. So for example, x squared plus 6x is equal to 40. You're going to have x squared plus 6x. We have to add some number there to make it into a perfect square trinomial. That number in this case is 9, right? And then after that, you can factor it up real nice. X plus 3 squared is equal to 49, and then you're done. So now the equation is in the form to solve using the square root property. Completing the square is a way to transform an equation into a form we need to be able to use the square root property. That's the secret. Right? So not so bad, right? Any questions on that? Nothing? Yeah. Right. Huh? I got you. So basically what's happening, right? I'm looking to factor it. That's what I want to do. Well, not just factor it. I want to solve this equation for x. That's what I'm really looking for. I want the answer for x. Yeah. But I don't want to go through doing all this multiplication and then combining like terms and then having to factor and all of that, right? This is a process that I could go through to get straight to the nitty gritty, straight down to the answer. X equals whatever x equals, right? So that's what this is doing here, right? I was waiting for somebody to ask me that question, yo. Oh, I know it's not. It's a formula. It's a formula, yeah. Something like that. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. This is gonna be real cool. Let me jump into an example real quick and you'll see. I'm gonna show you the trick right now. Now I'm gonna just let y'all know this is my way of doing this. I feel like my way is the best way, but there is a correct way to do it. All right. So how to solve a quadratic equation of the form x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 by completing the square. Solve by completing the square. So I have this particular question in the most ideal form ever, right? I have x squared plus 8x is equal to 48, right? Now there's some number that I need to add to this to make the x squared plus 8x into a perfect square trinomial. Here's how I figure out what that number is, right? It's a formula. So that number is gonna be what? Not 6, but good guess. Not 4, but that's a good guess too. So look, no. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you the formula real quick. It's negative b over 2a squared. That's the formula right there. Right? Now remember this particular question that we have, right? Is of the form ax squared. Hold on, I don't like that color. 1 second. I'll do this. It's of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, right? In our case here, what would you say a is? What's the number in front of it? It's 1, right? B, what's B? 8. That's all I need right there. That's all I need. So right after that, go straight into the formula, right? So I'm gonna have negative B is what? 8 over 2 times A, what's A? 1 squared. So help me out. Negative 8 divided by, that's 2 times 1 is 2, right? So negative 8 divided by 2, what's that? Negative 4, and then squared. And what's negative 4 squared? 16. Now we're talking about, right? This is what I want to add to make this into a perfect square trinomial, right? But here's the thing. What I do to one side of the equation, gotta do to the other side of the equation. Right there, right? Now, I feel like you guys could do this, right? What's the factor of x squared plus 8x plus 16? X, x plus 4. Very good. But not just any x plus 4, x plus 4 squared, right? Reason being, 4 times 4, 16. 4 plus 4, 8. That's simple, right? Is equal to, oh, this is the hard part. What's 48 plus 16? What's that? 58. And that's like, what, 64? Am I right? 64? All right. That's it.
You have to set 64 to 0.
No. In this equation, or this situation, I'm just trying to set it up. Now, on your homework, right, there is what's called a standard form for this. I want to pick another color, something real nice. We'll do this one right here, right? There's a standard form that goes a times x minus h squared. Can't remember the other letter. I think it's K. Yeah, it's K, right? Minus K is equal to 0. Right? That looks about right. So now, on your homework, what they're going to ask you is they're going to ask you specifically for these other letters here. What is A? What is H? What is K? Right? To find out that using the answer that we found in the orange, x plus 4 squared equals 64. All you would have to do is just subtract the 64 to the other side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. And then now you will have what? You will have x plus 4 squared minus 64 is equal to 0. So let's just pretend for a second that this was a homework question. This is a homework question, right? I want to know what is A, what is H, and what is K? What's the answer for A? No, what's the answer for A? 1, very good. What's the answer for H? Close. What's the answer for H? -4. Now we're talking. right? You see how that's a positive 4 and the h is negative in the formula? What about k? Just 64. Because k is already negative, right? So that's the kind of question you might get for your homework. What is A? What is H? What is K? Real simple. What? So you see how the original formula is x minus h, right? But we have in our answer x plus 4, right? So how do we get the plus 4 turns to the negative h? It has to be negative 4. Yeah. Yeah. Or another way to think about it, x plus 4 is just x minus negative 4, right? That's another way to think about it. So yeah, that's half of your homework right there, doing that. The other half of your homework is going to ask you to actually solve the question, right? What is the answer? X equals what, right? Well, we go straight back to our square root property, right? What was my square root property? X plus 4 squared minus 64 is equal to 0. I want to solve for x. Solve for x, right? So to solve for x, I'm going to add 64 over here. What I do to one side, do to the other. So now what do I have? I have x plus 4 squared is equal to 64. I'm going to solve for x, right? So I want to get rid of that square right there. So I'm going to square root this side. But what I do to one side, I got to do to the other. Very simple, right? Square root and square cancels out, leaving back just plain x plus 4. And then this is going to be equal to, oh shoot, help me out. What's the square root of 64 again? 8, right? But not just any 8, plus or minus 8, right? Remember, whenever we do the square root of another side, there's going to be two answers there, a plus and a minus, right? After that, very simply, solve for x, subtract the 4. And what you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side. So now this is my answer. X is equal to negative 4 plus or minus 8, which you know is going to be two separate answers, right? One answer is negative 4 minus 8, which is equal to what? Negative 12. And the other one is negative 4 plus 8, which is equal to positive 4, right? So if I'm asking you in the homework, right, what is the answer to these, right? Like these are your answers right here. 4, negative 12, right? It doesn't matter. Well, they'll tell you in the question. Like some questions might be like, oh, give me the small number first and then the large. Yeah. So yeah, this is the answer to the questions, right? But if you have the other type of question on the homework where they say, oh, I want you to set it up in standard form and give me the A, the H, and the K, this is how you do it. All right?
How many formulas are there?
Quadratics, just one. Quadratic formula.
Negative b plus or minus.
Yeah, that thing. We gonna get to that. That's like tomorrow. Unless we finish this, then we could go in and try it out.
Is ax squared plus bx plus c.
That's the standard form. I'm gonna get to that too. Okay. That's the formula that you use whenever you have a number in front of the x that's not 1. But to be honest with you, it's the same thing. Ain't nothing changing here. Just gonna keep it nice and simple. You guys try. Just so I'm clear, this says solve by completing the square, right? So when it says solve, that means that I'm looking for an answer, right?
Yeah, so
Right. I want x equals blah, 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 and x equals blah, 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 right? So the idea here is that we're tired of factoring. We ain't trying to factor. We just want to get answers over here.
The final one's gonna have like specific ways to solve it, right? Like solve it this way.
They're going to ask you that, but to be honest, as long as you give me the right answer, I'm happy.
Oh, you break the final.
Yeah. Just give me the right answer. All right, let's take a look at this, right? I have what? X squared plus 4x is equal to 5, right? But I want to complete the square. So we're going to start off with our formula. I have negative b over 2a. I'm going to square that, right? And then in this question right here, help me out. My a is what? And my b is what? Exactly, right? So we're just going to plug those in. So I have what? Negative 4 over 2 times 1 squared, right? And then this becomes what? Negative 4 over 2 squared, which is what? So -4 divided by 2 is -2, right?
Oh, we do that before you. Square
Yeah,
it.
then you square it. So -2 squared, that's 4, right? So now I'm gonna add 4 over here. And what I do to one side, you do to the other. That's simple. All right. So now next step, I'm gonna factor this. Help me out. I need two numbers that when I multiply them will give me a 4, but when I add them together, it will give me a 4. What are they? 2, right? So this is just x plus 2. And then 5 plus 4, what's that? 9? Boom, right? Again, I want you to solve it, right? So I'm gonna square root this over here to get rid of the square. But what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So now what do I have? X plus 2 is equal to plus or minus what? 3, right? Then you want to subtract 2 from over here. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So now what do you have? You have x is equal to -2 plus or minus 3, right? And then you want to just solve for the two answers. One answer is going to be -2 minus 1 is equal to -3. And the other answer, -2 plus 1 equals -1. What happened? Which one? -2 plus or minus 1? So I'm trying to solve for x. That's why. Like I want the single answer of what x is. So from the original question that we came up here, I'm solving for x. So I square both sides to get rid of it. So I have x plus 2 is equal to plus or minus 3. And then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, right? So that's how I got that part. The -2. Oh, wait, hold up. Plus or minus 3. That's what you meant, right? I'm sorry. My mistake. Woo. That came out of nowhere. Hold up. Oh, are you not erasing? Yo, Microsoft be playing. All right, -5 plus 1. There we go. My fault. I'm sorry about that. My fault. Yeah.
You just gotta remember the formula.
Yeah. Negative b over 2a. Man, I probably give it to you if you needed it.
Can I have a question?
Yeah.
They're different.
Yeah, factor it. Remember if we had this question before, you subtract the 5 over, and then you would factor it, the two factors, and then set each one equal to 0. Yeah.
It's a formula.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's a little formula, negative b over 2a
you
squared.
did it. It's
Yeah.
different, right?
You mean the
It's the
big
same-
formula? That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Negative b.
But this one is light. Yeah, that's it.
It's like the same.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not bad. This one is nicer though, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's all.
Cause like it's real. It's just that little green thing you gotta remember, and that's it. Negative b over 2a squared.
Yeah, because
Yeah. Right.
so it doesn't matter which one.
Oh, that's good. So remember earlier, I was telling y'all like, oh, this is my way of doing it, and blah blah blah, right? So here's my logic that I have here, right? The only formula that I need to remember when using completing a square is the negative b over 2a squared, the green formula right there. That's the only thing that I need to remember to complete the square, right? Now, in the textbook, they would tell you something different. They'd be like, oh, do negative b over 2. The reason why I do negative b over 2a, right, is because when you guys get to math 30, right, that's actually the formula for the axis of symmetry, right? I'd rather you guys memorize one formula than memorize like 19, right? One thing that works for all situations. So I use the axis of symmetry and I square that to get the number that I'm going to add to both sides of the equation, right? And that's how I complete the square. Works really, really good in calculus too, also. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about when I'm saying that, right? Y'all know I always get y'all with some notes, right? So to solve a quadratic equation of the form x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 by completing a square, step one, isolate the variable term on one side and the constant term on the other. Step two, find 1/2 times b. For me, it's gonna be what? B over 2a, right? B over 2a. The number needed to add to complete the square. Add it to both sides of the equation, factor the perfect square trinomial, write it as a binomial squared on the left, and simplify by adding the terms on the right. Use the square root property. So we did when we square rooted both sides, use the square root property, and then simplify the radical and then solve the two resulting equations. And then step 6, check your solutions. All right. Not so big on checking for this because this will work. All right. Yeah. But if you don't believe me, check it. It's fine. Well, this is it though. This is the sauce for today. Rest of the class, I'm just gonna be doing more examples, but you all have the knowledge already. So if y'all want to knock out your homework, be my guest. All right. Homework is already posted. Y'all could take a look. Yeah. No. The next one does though. Tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So look, solve by completing the square, right? It's the same thing all over again, right? What's my formula? My formula is negative b over 2a squared, right? And in this particular question, right? What's my a? 1, and then what's my b? 4. That's it, right? Plug it straight in. What do I have? I have negative times 4 divided by 2 times 1 squared, right? This almost looked like the same thing we just did, right? So what does this become? Negative 4 over 2 squared. And then what's negative 4 over 2 again? Close. Negative 2, right? Squared, and negative 2 squared is positive, what, 4, right? And then that's it. So now in the original question, what do I have? I have x squared plus 4x something is equal to negative 21, right? And then I want to add 4 to both sides. That's what I just found, right? And then we just do the math on that. Nothing crazy, right? What's the factor of this? X plus 4, x plus 4. What is that? I mean, x squared plus 4x plus 4. Factor that for me. What is that? Exactly. X plus 2 squared. And then that's going to be equal to, what's negative 21 plus 4? What's it, like negative 17 or something? I don't know, something like that, right? Long story short, I want you to solve for x, right? Solve for x. So what am I going to do? I'm going to square root this side, but what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do the other side of the equation, right? The square and the square root will cancel out, leaving back very simply just x plus 2 equals, right? And then what's the square root of negative 17 going to be? Plus or minus what? Plus or minus what? No. Okay, I heard. Say it again. 17 what? Not negative. Not negative 1. 17 times what? Times I.
Really?
That's it, right?
Yes.
So I square root 17. That's it. Right? Very, very simple. Right?
That's great. That's
Yeah, that's it. And then after that, what do? I want x by itself, right? So I'm going to subtract 2 from over here. What I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side of the equation. Subtract 2 from over here. So now what do I have? X is equal to negative 2 plus or minus I square root 17. When it comes to this situation, you don't have to simplify it any further down. You could just give me this and I will take it. But if you want to, totally could do it. You could say -2 minus I square root 17. And you could say -2 plus I square root 17. I will take these two answers as well. But I give you your choice, whichever one you want to do. All right. If it was one of them questions where they're like, oh, give me the small one first and then the big one after, right? The one with the minus is always the small one. All right. And the one with the plus is always the big one. All right. Little hint right there to save you a little bit of time, like a minute or so. You know? Yeah, sure. No problem. We'll just do one of these real quick.
I didn't know to use the I though, like if it's negative.
Anytime you see that negative in there, boom, I. Yeah. And then 17 has no perfect square that goes into it, so it just stays in a radical. So that's it. All right.
I do -1.
I is the square root of -1. Yep. Yeah, so you guys try. Again, if you bored over there, do your homework. I'm just doing more examples like this. It's the same lesson again and again and again, just letting you know. All right.
Wait, if B is a negative
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
put the B, the negative outside the B in the formula, it will turn into positive or,
If B was negative,
yeah.
no, the whole thing would be negative. Yeah.
Like I'm saying, like this right here, if the number is already negative, and you put the negative on the outside.
Oh, yeah, like a negative times a negative,
Yeah.
positive. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But to be totally transparent with you, it kind of don't matter because I'm squaring it. So whether it was negative or positive, it's still going to be one positive answer, regardless. So that would be like -10 divided by 2 times 1 is just -5. But whether you do -5 squared or +5 squared, it's still 25. Huh? This formula is the bomb. Works for all situations, all questions. Right? You know how factoring only worked for some? This works for everything. Every single question.
So you know what class you teach you next semester?
And whatever they give me, I'm happy with.
Or they just give something to you?
Yeah. Like I'm not at that level yet where I could be like, I want this. You know, yeah. I'm grateful for whatever comes my way. But for sure, next semester I'm in tutoring, so even when y'all is in Math 30, y'all can always come back and see me, ask me questions, that's fine.
Oh, the class actually, the professor, right?
Sure. If you know what they who if you know like if you have a list to choose from, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Sometimes they hide people's names until like the last like minute. You know,
Like
so
all teachers.
yeah. I don't think it matters, but they they be hiding people's names till the end. Like I'm pretty sure if a lot of people saw my name, they'd be like, "Oh hell no!" Like,
I thought it would be a Chinese professor. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, to be honest with you, I am Chinese.
Really?
Yeah, my grandpa's full Chinese.
That's crazy.
That's fine. This is good.
It's good?
Yeah, so then just factor that, and then just add that up, and just solve for y.
Oh, this, I had this.
Yeah, just add that, just factor that.
You know the recipes?
Some, not everything. Yeah. I don't even really like cooking a wok or anything like that. Yeah, like my skills are limited.
Like the movie.
Right? Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure, but I don't even think my grandpa like knew how to do like the wok cooking and all that. Yeah, because he wasn't like actually like brought up in that culture. Like he was like born and raised in Jamaica. So
That's so weird.
yeah,
You have like the
it's
Jamaican slang.
yeah.
That's kind of fun.
It'd be interesting because like if you walked up to him and like looked at him, you would expect some kind of like Asian accent, but nah, like patois.
Yeah, the same thing in the art.
Yeah,
You go to the art and you see that.
the Chinese, right?
What
Yeah,
did they speak fluent Spanish?
right. Yeah.
Everybody in the world speaks Spanish.
Right. Yo, when is the parade? Like, ain't the
It's August, right? It's August 3rd.
It's August 3rd.
I don't know. I gotta
I saw I was watching News 12 and they had like the costumes. I don't even know what it's called, like with the and the whip and all that. Yeah.
Well, oh,
No.
the carnival?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what they call those costumes, but those costumes are fire.
I hate,
You know.
yo, and I'm thinking, yo, what with him?
Oh man. So let me tell y'all what happened. Back when I was a student, right, we had the Halloween party on campus, right? And like a group of guys, like they were all in like differential equations with me and all of that, right? Just mad smart guys. But they're all Dominican, so they all came in with the costumes and the whips and stuff for Halloween. It was fire. OMG. Yo.
That's a party. Dominican parade
Yeah.
in Washington Heights.
Yeah. But that whip, that joint really cracks like legit.
I hear that.
Oh man.
Second Sunday in August.
Okay. Gotcha.
The 10th.
Yes, probably the 10th deal. That's gonna be fire. For the Dominican Day Parade. Yeah.
Are you going down to Washington Heights?
I watch it on TV. Oh man. I found this I don't know, this person on Instagram, right? And they dress up like Dora the Explorer. And but like she calls herself Dembo Dora. Right? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So hilarious. Yeah. Yo, she makes me smile so much. Like it's hilarious. Oh man. All right, so look, we're gonna solve this by completing the square real quick, right? So we know our formula. Our formula is negative b over 2a and then squared, right? In this particular question, what's my a and what's my b? So I heard 1 and what's b? Negative 10, right? After that, just plug it in. Nothing crazy, right? So this is just gonna be negative of -10 divided by 2 times 1, and then we're just gonna square that, right? So what does that become? That becomes 10 over 2 squared, which becomes what? 5 squared, right? Which is what? 25, right? So now what do I have, right? I have y squared minus 10y, right? Plus 25 on both sides, right? Right? Is equal to negative 35. Let me move that over here real quick. Sorry about that. Right? And then plus 25, right? And then after that, just do your math, nothing crazy. Right? So I got y minus 5 squared is equal to, what's this? Negative 10. Excellent, right? After that, just solve for y, right? Just solve for y. I'm gonna square root this to get rid of the square here. But what I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other side of the equation, right? So this becomes what? Y minus 5 is equal to plus or minus what? I square root of 10, right? And then after that, I'm just gonna add 5 to both sides. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So I have y is equal to 5 plus or minus I square root 10. Again, I'm okay with just this answer. But if you have the split answer with the plus and minus, that's okay too. I'll take that as well. Yeah, sure. All right. Let's take a look at another one. Same formula, same everything. Nothing changing, right? I want to solve this equation by completing the square. There we go. All right. So what am I going to do? I'm going to start off with my formula real quick. I got negative b over what? Over 2a squared. Excellent, right? Then I'm just going to plug in what I have for this question. So help me out. For this question, what's my a? 1, and what's my b? Close. Negative 18, right? So after that, I'm just going to plug it in, right? Nothing crazy, right? So this is negative times negative 18, all divided by 2 times 1 squared. So this is going to become what? 18 over 2 squared. And 18 divided by 2 is what again? 9, right? So this is just going to become 9 squared. And what's 9 squared again? 81. That's excellent. That's excellent. Excellent. So after I get that, right, what do I have? I have y squared minus 18y is equal to negative 6. And what do I want to do? I want to add 81 to both sides of this equation. So I'm going to add 81 over here, and I'm going to add 81 over here. Because what you do to one side, you know you have to do to the other. After that, what do we want to do? Just factor this, right? So help me out. What's the factor of this real quick? Y close, minus 9. That's it, squared, right? So you see how the b term here is negative, right? So that's what's going to make the middle term there be negative, right? And then negative 6 plus 81 is what? What's that, like 75 maybe? Yeah. After that, just solve for y. Nothing crazy, right? So I'm going to square root this and to get rid of the square. But what I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So now what do I have? I have y minus 9 is equal to plus or minus what? What does that become? Hmm? Oh no, before I get to that. Yeah, what is that? What's square root of 75? 5 square root 3, very good. And then after that now, just solve for y. So I'm just gonna add 9 over here. But what I do to one side of the equation, I have to do to the other side of the equation. Right? Because of the radical, I'll accept an answer like this. If you want to leave it together, this would be 9 plus or minus 5 square root 3. I would accept that answer. If you want to break it apart, you have my blessing, right? That's going to be 9 minus 5 square root 3 and 9 plus 5 square root 3. This together is also fine. Whatever works for you. No problem.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. I think it was 14, 17.
Mm-hmm.
This question, I was gonna ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take either one. Now I'm just kind of concentrating on the answer here, but remember that standard form, right? As well, the A times H minus K. No, excuse me. The A times X minus H squared minus K. Remember that standard form question? Because you're gonna get a couple of those like that. I don't know why this is not like zooming out a full. Clearly hitting it right here. Okay. There you go. Huh? I don't know, man. Technically speaking, there's only one candidate right now. It's just Trump. Harris still gotta be chosen at the convention in a couple of weeks.
We have more options. I hate it.
We had more. There was like three options, but
Who else?
we got two of the senators ran against Trump, Trump against Biden. But like it's really hard to win against a sitting president, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he chilling, man. He passed.
Go take a nap now.
Yeah. He passed Social Security age. He chilling, man.
President get paid.
Yeah. It's like 300,000 something like that.
Millions on the campaign.
100,000.
A year. That's how much the president gets paid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they sell for life. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The amount of celebrity you get after that, like any book you write or anything, you good. That too. Nah, it's more than Secret Service though, man. You have like your own cook for life. You have your own driver for life. Like you never drive again. Like that's it. Like you'll never sit behind the car again. You know, like driving. You know? Yeah.
You can never like drive a car again. You got to drive a car in like an empty lot. You want to drive?
I'm pretty sure it's their decision. Oh, so they don't want to drive.
Yeah.
President, we can't let have you.
It's risky though, like
Get shot.
yeah. I mean, but if you have like a spouse or something, they could drive after you after you get out of office and stuff.
Like, yeah, she's
Yeah.
the value. Stay safe.
Yeah. You notice how like Jimmy Carter been on hospice for like a minute, right? And he's still kicking, but his wife been passed. Like you get extra care as a president. I don't even know if Jimmy Carter's awake right now, man. He might just be sleeping every day or something. But yo, real talk, could you imagine though, you up there in age, and say you have like dementia or something, you just be talking, but like you might be saying some true things, but it's like that could put the country at risk kind of thing. Yeah. They probably guard him like mad heavily.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know what else is fire too as a president? If you have a child and like let's anytime you have a child, right? Like Secret Service is with that child until they turn like 18 or something.
That's not like too low. A kid ain't never gonna have no freedom. Be like, yeah, back up, back up. This is the president's son right here.
But if it's your child though, you always got tabs on your kid.
Yeah, like if I was a kid, I'd be type.
You could even low key tell your Secret Service like, yo,
Yeah.
bring them here right now, and like that's it. Like,
That's not fair.
yo,
You know, force you.
yeah,
They can do that.
yeah. Because think of it like this, though, right? Like, say we had like an enemy, like an international enemy, right? Like, what's stopping them from kidnapping your kid and being like, "Yo, ransom or whatever," you know? So
It was the nuclear codes.
yeah, so Secret Service is like mad, like protected it.
Like, yeah, you got like kids
Right.
done. You got rights,
Yeah.
but we're just gonna like walk over those for now. Be your safe.
Mhm.
The phone, do you have it in the tub?
If you want it, I'll give it to you. No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, yeah.
Negative B over A squared, right?
They're gonna be over 2A.
Yeah.
And the one that I
Two
like,
A's.
one you show.
But the big one, yeah, I'm gonna give it. Yeah. In this example, we're getting to the other examples where it's not one. Yeah. But it's a real simple set. It's a real simple set. You're gonna see. All right, let's try this one out right here, right? Remember my formula is negative b over 2a squared, right? In this question, right? What's my a? One, and what's my b? Negative 16, right? And after that, let me just plug that in real quick. I have negative 16, God bless you, over 2 times 1 squared. So what's that? That's like 16 over 2 squared, which I think is like 8 squared, which becomes what? I think 64, something like that, right? And then what do you want to do? What do you want to do? I want to add this to both sides of the equation. So I got x squared minus 16x is equal to negative 16. I'm going to add 64 to both sides of the equation. And then you already know what to do, right? We're going to factor this. Somebody help me out. What's the factor of this one going to be? X what? Minus 8. Very good. Squared is equal to, what's negative 16 plus 64?
48.
48. I like that. And then real simple, just solve for x. That's it, just solve for x. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna square root this side to get rid of the square where I do the one side, do to the other. Now I have x minus 8 is equal to plus or minus, what's that gonna be? Square root of 48 is what? Say it again?
7.
That's 7. What is that? What do you think it is? 6? Not 6, you're close to it. 6 plus 12. What's the largest perfect square that goes? What's the largest perfect square that goes into 48? That's 24. 16, right? 16 times 3. And then the square root of 16 we know is what? This is 4 square root of 3.
16 times it. That's not fair.
I've seen it before. And then after that, just add the 8. You do the one side, do to the other. So this is x is equal to 8 plus or minus 4 square root of 3. And that's it. Questions on that? Easy? Same process, nothing new. Yeah.
Fair though.
Mhm.
The finals, they can expect us to remember all of this.
You will though, it's not bad. Finals real easy.
Started panicking about the regulars. I don't know. Finals gonna be crazy. I remember
Nah,
last
that's
finals, I went to the bathroom with cold water on my face. Panicking.
Nah, I promise you, it's mad easy.
It was like combine like terms for every question.
Could be. You'll know what it is next week.
There's some ominous words. Still know this next week.
Cause we gonna try and spend like the whole week just preparing for it. So it's gonna be like,
That's what we're doing trigonometry.
oh yeah, we doing that this week. All right, let's look at this question right here, right? So we want to solve this by completing the square. Easy, right? So remember what step one is when I'm doing this, right? I want to isolate my constant term. What's wrong with this question is I have a constant term, right? You know, on the left-hand side. So I want to get rid of that 4, basically, right? So first step here, I'm going to subtract 4. But what I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So now what do I have? I have x squared plus 10x is equal to 15 minus 4. What's that, 11? And that's it. Now, go straight to the formula, right? We get a b over 2a squared. And then a, in this case, is what? A is 1. And b is 10. Very good. Plug those in. What do I have? Hold on. Let me just get this. 5 squared. Very good. All right. So this would be 10, negative 10, whatever, over 2 squared, which becomes negative 5 squared, which is what? 25, right? So now that's what I want to add to both sides of this equation. I'm going to add 25 over here and add 25 over here, right? So now what do I have? I have x plus 5 squared is equal to 36, right? And then you already know, right? I want to solve for x, so I'm going to square root this. But what I do to one side, do to the other. So what do I have? I have x plus 5 is equal to plus or minus 6, right? So I'm going to have two answers here, right? I'm going to subtract 5 from over here. What I do to one side, do to the other. So now for my two answers, I'm going to have x is equal to negative 5 minus 6, which is negative 11. And I'm going to have x is equal to negative 5 plus 6, which is equal to 1. And that's my answer. More specifically, these are my answers. More specifically. Questions on this? So you want to isolate the constant term first, and then you can go about doing your factoring and adding in the special number and all of that. The wrong answer? Because they became whole numbers and I can actually subtract them out. The other ones had radicals, so I couldn't do nothing with those. Yeah,
About the rain.
it is.
I expect light rain in the next time.
Light rain I'll take, not heavy rain. Yeah. Like today the rain, it was light, I'm not gonna lie. Like you didn't even know what happened, right?
I was excited.
Yeah. All right, you guys try. Mm-hmm. Very good. That's good. Good job. If it was rep work, remember to enter in the numbers with a comma, 7, 3. Yeah, with a comma, because it's two answers. All right, let's take a look. All right. So I have a squared plus 4a plus 9 is equal to 30, right? I want to isolate my constant term, so I'm going to subtract 9 from over here. What I do to one side, do to the other. So now I have what? I have a squared plus 4a is equal to 21, right? Now I want to complete the square. Go to the formula. We have negative b over 2a squared, right? So this is going to be, what's my a and what's my b again? 1 and 4, right? Plug those in. All right. So I have negative of 4 times 2 times 1 squared. So what's that become? All right, so negative 2 squared, which is what? 4, right? So I'm going to add 4 over here, add 4 over here. So now what do I have? What's the factor here? A what? 4. It's equal to 25. Real simple, just solve for A. So I'm gonna do square root over here to get rid of the square. What I do to one side, do to the other. A plus 2 is equal to 25. No, excuse me. Square root of 25 plus or minus 5. Sorry about that. After that, just solve for a. I'm gonna subtract 2 from over here where I do the one side, do to the other. So I have a is equal to -2 plus or minus 5. Now I want two answers here. I want -2 minus 5 is equal to -7, and -2 plus 5 is equal to 3. All right? Yeah. Questions on that? You good? Let's see. I feel like you guys get the gist of this and you have enough information to do your homework, but I want to talk about something real quick. Huh? Yeah, when it's not one. I have a lot more examples, but we're gonna run out of time if I just keep going by examples. So let me just jump to this real quick. All right. So this is solving a quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 by completing the square. So the process of completing the square works best when the coefficient of x squared is 1. So the left side of the equation is of the form x squared plus bx plus c. If the x squared term has coefficient other than 1, we take some preliminary steps to make the coefficient equal to 1. So if there's going to be a number there that's in front of the x squared, we're going to try and change that into a 1, right? So sometimes the coefficient can be factored from all three terms in the trinomial. This will be our strategy in the next example. So let's take a look real quick. This is like the best case scenario that you were about to see, right? And the process doesn't change. Same process, right? So if I'm looking at this one, I have 3x squared minus 12x minus 15. Remember that before you start anything, you should always be looking for a greatest common factor. So greatest common factor here is going to be the 3, right? So I'm factoring out the 3, and what's left over? X squared minus, what's that, 4x minus 5, something like that, equals 0? Something like that, right? And then after that, I'm going to complete the square. But I'm just going to complete the square with the part that's inside of the parentheses, right? Not going to worry myself about the 3 that's on the outside, right? So you already know I want to isolate my constant term. So I'm going to have this 3 out here. I'm just going to put a bracket over there around it, right? And that's going to leave back what? X squared minus 4x, blah, 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 is equal to, I'm going to add 5 over here, add 5, is equal to 5, right? And then you already know what's going to happen after that, right? We're going to do the formula, negative b over 2a squared. So this is going to be negative of -4 over 2 times 1, right? Squared. So that's going to be 4 over 2 squared, which is what? 2 squared, very good, which is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides, right? When I add 4 to both sides, what do I have now? I have 3 times, what's this? X minus 2 squared is equal to 5 plus 4, 9, right? If this was that question that you have for homework where it's like, oh, what's the A, the H, the K, or whatever, this is an example where A is not, what you call it, 1. A is 3. all right? But that's not what I really care about. I care about the actual answer to this question. So real quick, let's solve for x. All right, so I'm gonna divide by 3 over here. What I do to one side, I gotta do to the other. So now I have x minus 2 squared is equal to 3. I'm gonna square root both sides, get rid of that square. So I have x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus square root 3. I'm gonna add 2 to both sides. Final answer, x is equal to 2 plus or minus square root 3. And that's it. Got you. Again, this is like the best case scenario, the most ideal situation that could happen, right? Little greatest common factor, and we're good to go. Right? What we're trying to build to is when we don't have that option. Hold on one second. What's going on here? There we go. There you go. All right. All right. Special note. To complete the square, the coefficient of the x squared must be 1. When the leading coefficient is not a factor of all the terms, we will divide both sides of the equation by the leading coefficient. This will give us a factor for the second coefficient. We have already seen how to complete the square with fractions in this section, all right? So let's take a look real quick. Here's what I'm talking about. Let's say I want to solve this by completing the square. I have 2x squared minus 3x is equal to 20, right? But you notice, though, I can't factor 2 out of this whole thing, right? So I need to change that coefficient in front of x squared into 1. So watch what I'm going to do. Here's a trick. Here's a sauce right here. Real simple. I'm going to divide the 2x squared by 2. But not just the 2x squared. Everybody's getting divided by 2. You get divided by 2 and you get divided by 2. That's simple, right? So now what do I have? Just look. Now I have just plain old x squared, which is what I want, minus 3 over 2x, right, is equal to 20, right? So you already know. Plug in the formula. Oh, shoot, my fault. Why did I say 20? That should have been 10. I'm sorry. Whoops. Hold on 1 second. Why are you? I don't got time to fix that, right? 10, right? So go straight into the formula. You have negative b over 2a squared. Plug in what you got, right? So for b, I have what's that, -3/2. And then for A is 1 now, right? Whoops. That's a 2 and then that's a 1. Squared. Do the math on it, right? What does this become? This becomes 3/2 divided by 2/1 squared. Keep change flip. Why is this happening right now? Come on, Microsoft. I know y'all done grounded a whole bunch of planes, but y'all, you ain't got to do that to me right now, yo. All right, over 2/1. Right? So this is 3/2 times what? 1/2. So this becomes squared, of course. So this is going to become what? 3/4 squared. When you square that, what does that become? 9/16, right? And that's what you're going to add to both sides. I'm going to add 9/16. I'm going to add 9/16, right? Is this ever going to work? All right, we're good to go. So here goes the factor right here, right? This is x. You know that the b term is negative, so this is going to be a minus, just like that. And then what two numbers did I use to multiply to get to the 9/16, which is 3/4, right? Right, the 3/4 right here. And that's it. And then equals, this is what? Over 1. What's that going to be? 169/16, something like that. After that, you already know what I want to do, right? I want to solve for x. Solve for x. So what am I going to do? Square root both sides, right? Very good. If I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So what am I left with? X minus 3/4 is equal to, what's that? Square root of 169 is plus or minus, I think this is like what, 13/4, something like that, right? Simplify it down on both sides. Final answer, I'm going to add the 3/4 over here. If I do to one side, I got to do to the other. So scroll down. So now I have x is equal to, what's that, 3 plus or minus 13 all over 4, since they have the same denominator. I'm going to have two answers here, right? One of them is going to be 3 minus 13/4, which will give me a -10/4, which you could reduce down into a -5/2. And the other one will be a 3 plus 13/4, which will give me a 16/4, which I can reduce down to just 4, right? These are my final answers. All right. 169, that's 13 squared, I believe. I'll tell you in a minute. Hold on. Let me see. Got you. So it's 10/1 plus 9/16, right? But in order for me to add those, they have to have the same denominator. So LCD there would be 16. So 1 times 16, 16, and then 10 times 16 is 160. So 160/16 plus 9/16 is 169/16. And that's how. Huh? Yeah, that's it. Oh, you want me to do it one more time? Hold on. Do it one more time. So remember the trick here, right? If your A term is not 1, divide everything by the A. Everything, right? Individually by A. And then do the regular completing the square, right? Go straight into the formula, boom, 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 you get the answer. All right? Real quick, let me just bless y'all with some notes. And then if you can stay, I'll give you another example real quick before we call it a day. I just want to give y'all some notes real quick. So this is like the full notes whenever A is not 1. So solve a quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 by completing the square. Step 1, divide by a to make the coefficient of x squared term 1. Step 2, isolate the variable terms on one side and the constant terms on the other. Step 3, find 1/2 times b squared. In our case, negative b over 2a squared, right? Axis symmetry. The number needed to complete the square, added to both sides of the equation. Step 4, factor the perfect square trinomial, write it as a binomial squared on the left and simplify by adding the terms on the right. Use the square root property, simplify the radical, and then solve the 2 resulting equations. In step 7, check your solutions. So that's the notes right there. All right. So that's that for today, but I wanna do just one more example just so that y'all have something to look at, to reference at least. And this will be like the hardest question that we did today. So let's take a look. So I want to solve this question by completing the square. I noticed that I can't do a greatest common factor here because they're not divisible by nothing, right? But that 3 is a huge problem for me, huge problem. So I want the 3 in front, which is in front of the x squared. I want that to be 1. So I'm going to divide it by 3, but not just that part. I'm going to divide everything by 3, just like that, right? By doing that, what am I left with? I'm left with x squared plus 2 over 3x, right? And I'm going to add something that is equal to 4 over 3. Just like that, right? Go straight into your formula. You already know. Negative b over 2a squared. And then just plug it in, right? Nothing crazy here. Just plug it in. Let me change the color real quick. Just plug it in, right? So I'm going to have what? Negative, my b over here is 2 over 3 divided by, what's that, 2 times 1 squared. This is going to become negative 2 over 3 times 1 over 2. Remember, keep, change, flip, all that good stuff, right? Multiply straight across. I'm going to do some tricky stuff just because math is hard, right? So now I have what? Negative 1 over 3 squared. When I multiply that out, what do I get? 1 over 9, right? 1 over 9. So I'm going to add 1 over 9 to both sides of this equation, just like that, right? So I'm going to factor this. I notice that my b term here is positive, so I know my factor is going to be positive. And what's the factor I'm going to write here? Somebody tell me. Squared. What's that factor going to be? 1/3. That's absolutely right. How you knew that? Seen it before? Awesome, right? For me, I just kind of look right here. See right here where it says a negative 1/3? That's what I know I'm gonna put right here. If you don't want to sit there trying to figure out what's gonna go into this, that's always gonna be the answer. Next, right? I have 4 over 3 plus 1 over 9. I want to add those together. Got to get the LCD, so I'm gonna multiply this by 3. What I do to one, I got to do to the other. 4 times 3, what's that? 12, I think. So I have 12 plus 1 over 9, or 13 over 9. All right? So now what do we have? We got x plus 1 over 3 squared is equal to, what's that? Yep, 13 over 9. But now what do I want to do? I want to solve for x. So I'm going to square root both sides. What I do to one side, got to do to the other. So now what do I have? I have x plus 1 over 3 is equal to plus or minus what's this gonna be? Square root 13 over 3. Lose anybody or we good? All right. After that, I'm just gonna subtract 1 over 3. What I do to one side, do to the other. Since this has a radical, I'll accept it as a combined answer. So this could be just what? -1 plus or minus square root 13, all divided by 3. So I would accept this as a full answer right here because of the radical. But if it was a whole number, I'd want you to actually like, add it out, subtract it, divide it, all that good stuff. And that's it. If you're entering this answer on your homework, the small answer would be -1 minus square root 13 over 3. The big answer would be -1 plus square root 13 over 3. Right? And that's that. And make that a little bit smaller real quick.
Definitely.
I mean, try it out. Like it's a nice little process.
Nice.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm not looking over your shoulder when you're doing your homework. So if you reverted back to the old method that y'all know, which is factoring to get the answers and all that, I wouldn't know. You know.
It's only an assessment.
I mean, I would still give you full credit if you give me the right answer. So,
All right.
all right, man. I'll catch up with you. All right, you too, man. Good night. Yeah, got you. 1 second, though. Like, I got you. 1 second. Is anybody else copying, or are we done? All right, go ahead, go ahead.
So they want me to find out
H and K, yeah. So what you want to do, right? You see, you got that A right there. Actually, no, before that, huh? If you're wrong, I see y'all. What? Yo, so I got the key, but I didn't get a chance to grade it yet. Tomorrow, I got you. Tomorrow.
You're gonna have
you.
to give me too.
Yeah.
Can I please?
Yeah, come
I'm
through.
gonna be there.
I'll just drop it to you right there if you want to
I
do the
appreciate
points and all
that.
that.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
that's fine. Yeah.
And
All right,
I'll
so-
go with you.
Yeah, we go. All right, so with this one, right? Set this equal to 0. You got 5x squared minus 3x equals 0. And then what you want to do is just solve it by completing the square. So you're gonna divide the 5 on each side. Like, hold on, I'll show you this real quick. Hold on.
I just need.
I got you. It's the same process that we've been doing, but I'm gonna show you the little variation. Good night, man. I'll see you. I'm gonna show you the variation real quick. All right, so look, you got y equals it's 5x squared, right? Yeah, 5x squared minus it's 3x, right? All right. So here goes the variation right here, right? Instead of the y equals, make that 0, right? So we're gonna say 0 is equal to 5x squared minus 3x, right? But just like the other problem, right? The issue that I have is that a term right there. The a term is 5. I need it to be 1. So I'm gonna divide this by 5, but everybody gotta get divided by 5. Everybody, right? So when I do that, what do I have left? I have 0 is equal to x squared minus 3 over 5x, right? And then go straight into the formula, right? Go straight into the formula. So you got the negative b over 2a squared, right? We just gonna throw this in. So it's gonna be negative, and what's the b term? Negative 3 over 5, right? Yeah, over 2 times 1.
Wait, I put that for H.
Oh no. We not at that yet. But I'm talking about just for this black part right here, right? We know that my a is 1, and we know that my b is equal to negative 3 over 5, right? Boom, right? All right, so let's just do the math on that real quick. So this is gonna be negative is positive. This is just gonna be 3 over 5 times, what's that? This is like 2 over 1, so it's gonna be like 1 over 2, right? Squared. Multiply that out, you're gonna have 3/10 squared, just like that. When you square that out, it's gonna become 9/10. That's what you're gonna add on both sides, right? So I'm gonna add a 9/10 over here, and I'm gonna add a 9/10 over here, right? So that doesn't look right. Hold on. Something like that, right? So now, let's look at what I have. I have 9/10 is equal to x squared minus 3/5x plus 9/10. Now I could factor that 9/10, right? This is going to become 9/10 is equal to x what? Hmm. So not plus. The b term is negative, right? So that means that the negative is going to be here, right? And then, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do a parenthesis. And then what number am I going to put there? What number is going to go here? Not 5. Remember what I told you, right? Whatever it is that you squared up here, that's what's going to get thrown down over there. Exactly, just a 3/10, right? And then squared, just like that, right? And then watch what you're going to do after that. Right after that, I'm just going to subtract the 9/10. Because remember, I'm not trying to actually solve this. I'm just trying to find those other letters, right? So I'm going to subtract 9/10 over here. So now what do I have? I have 0 is equal to, open parentheses, x minus 3/10 squared minus the 9/10. Just like that, right? And then the formula, you out? All right, man. All right. So the formula that we have, right, or excuse me, what they want, right, is 0 is equal to a times x minus h squared minus k, right? So that being said, what's a? What's a? What's a? No, what's a?
I got that already, 5.
You got a is 5 over there?
Yeah.
Oh, I see why they did that. Okay. So that being said, then what's B? B, not why I said B. H, I'm sorry.
B/10.
Right.
Negative or positive?
It'd be positive because you see how the formula is already in minus?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And what's the K?
9/10.
9/10.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to.
Got you. But that's the process though, you know?
You gotta take a picture.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me see that last one real quick. What's that?
Wait, so there's one?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out something real quick. You know what this could be? I'm gonna just try. I'm gonna try play 9 and see what happens. No. Then I'm gonna try 9/2. And if that's right, then I'm gonna explain to you what it is.
Is there any other?
It's supposed to rain in a little bit. Yeah. So we should probably like run. Yeah.
Got it?
Nah. So, hold on one second.
No, take it. Where did you get the chocolate from?
Which problem?
Where did you get the chocolate from?
This the one I just did?
Yeah. No, this
No.
one. Where did you get the problem from? From the textbook?
Yeah. But this one, hold on, let's see. Okay. Oh, you know what it is? I keep saying minus K. That's my fault. They have plus K over here. That's my fault. So if they gonna have plus K, then we gotta put a minus in ours. So 9/10. Let's see if that. Let me try. Let me try that. Try one more thing real quick.
Catching up on our homework.
Yeah, this is a good one real quick. See something real quick. 3/5, 2/1, 2/10. It's good. Yeah, that works out. And then, oh, hold this real quick. You know what I just realized? I did something wrong here. So you see how it's 3/10 squared, right? So 3/10 squared is 9/100. Yeah, that's my mistake right there. So if that's 9/100, this is 9/100 right here, right? And this 9/100 right here. But still, 3/10 does go there. That's true, right? And then this would be the hundreds right here, right? And my fault. The problem had plus K, right? The problem that they had plus K. So we should have 9/100. Actually, negative 9/100. Try that real quick. That was my fault. Let me see. Negative 9/100. What about positive? Good question. You just give it a try. Wait, let me try. Try 20 real quick. So the idea that we're doing over here, right? It's freezing over here. All right. Not cold. I mean the computer is freezing. One second. Not listening. All right. So look, you see how I have the 0 is equal to the A times the X minus 3/10 squared minus the 9/100. So let's think of it like this, right? If I put the 9/100 on the other side, is equal to the A times the 3 minus, excuse me, the X, I meant to say, the X minus 3/10 squared, right? If I wanted to plug in the 5 right here for A, right? You know, like in other words, to multiply by 5, right? What I do to one side of the equation, I do to other side of the equation, right? So this rise, this be like 5/1. So now, right, when I multiply this out, this becomes 9/20. is equal to 5 times the x minus 3 over 10 squared, just like that. And then you can subtract the 9 over 20 from over here. And then now you got the standard form. 0 is equal to 5 times x minus 3 over 10 squared minus the 9 over 20. And then you just plug in all the numbers and then that's it. Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Let me make it smaller real quick. Gotcha. Yeah, this was a good question right here, man. But really, what happened with it was my fault. Like I didn't do the multiplication right. Right, we had the 3 over 10. Right, when you square that, that's 9 over 100. So that was my fault. Hold on, I think it's still loading. There's more to it. 1 second. My fault. All right, that's the whole question right there. Yeah. Yeah, this is question 1, the homework for him. Yeah. For 9.2, I think. Yeah, 9.2. Yeah, yeah.
Chris, you know what this question is?
Mhm.
This is row.
Oh, that's not bad. Just solve for K. So you're gonna subtract the 2R, subtract the H, and then divide by the number in front of the K. That's it. All right, I'm gonna take this down, all right? All right. Everybody online, have a good night. See y'all tomorrow.